My name is Danielle Mader. I am a fashion illustrator. I don't often describe myself as an artist. Most of what I do is work for clients. I work to a brief. I draw other people's ideas. However, I do find a vehicle for expressing my ego in blogging and in writing, and occasionally in more visual stuff. But yeah, for the most part, I would call myself an illustrator, not an artist. Ever since I was very small, I was always interested in history. I became interested in the ways that clothing changed throughout history and was always curious about why clothing was different from century to century. That led me to an interest in fashion. Maybe because when I was small, I lived in a very small town, and I didn't have access to fashion. To me, it was something that was quite exotic and removed. It was something that was centuries and miles and just impossible. I couldn't go shopping. There wasn't very many magazines. I think maybe because it was so inaccessible, I became even more interested in it. I focus entirely on fashion. I do figures, I do clothing on the figure or off the figure. Because I do fashion, what I do is very idealized. It's about beauty. And I'm especially interested in clothing itself. So even more than perhaps the attitude of fashion or the fantastical aspect of fashion, I always find myself coming back to the essence of clothing, how clothing is made and how it works and looks on a figure. My favorite mediums to work with are currently watercolor, but up until recently, mostly I worked in pen and ink and in Photoshop. Almost everything that I do ends up being seen online anyway, so it's absolutely important to optimize the way that my images look to be seen on the screen, because 99% of the time that's where they're seen. Think of something that I would rather be doing, maybe something that was more practical or more profitable or more sensible, and I just can't. I've ended up doing what I'm doing because I think this is what I'm meant to do, and I'm probably going to do it for the rest of my life in various forms. I think as I grow older, I would like to explore different things. Obviously, I would like to do more teaching. I'd like to do more speaking. I would very much like to create a book someday, maybe several books. But I'm always going to be fascinated with every aspect of fashion. I'm always going to be interested in drawing beautiful clothing, and that's just me.